Right, hey guys, how we doing? Back another video from 6 Jujutsu Kaisen stuff. Whoop whoop. And we have got the special grades that aren't officially special grade. Now, if I remember correctly, because you guys know how awful I am at this, there's only 4 special grade sorcerers within JJK. Ghetto being one of them. And it always makes me laugh when I think about that because as the series has progressed, we've definitely met some people that are, a little bit more better. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's see who 6 thinks are special grade that don't have the title, basically.
In the entirety of Jujutsu Kaisen, there are only 4 sorcerers with the rank special grade, at least officially that is. Geto, Gojo, Yuki, and Yuta make up the entirety of the special grade catalog of sorcerers. Throughout the manga though, it's hard to argue that some characters should also be on this level, and this video aims to make a case for why these characters deserve
Oh,
a seat
Maki,
in the
definitely.
special grade
Jesus
table.
freaking.
Aside from some fairly
Is that
controversial
Maki?
people being on this list, anyone who's actually read Jujutsu Kaisen knows that the reasoning behind someone being special grade isn't very clear as of now and can kind of be complicated. At the higher end, you have a character like Gojo who completely eclipses his special grade peers.
Yeah, it's like it makes sense for him to be up there, doesn't it? Like a lot.
And then you have someone like Geto who doesn't even know reverse curse technique or domain expansion, yet simply due to the army he can create with the massive amount of curses he absorbs, he obtains the rank special grade. So bear with me while I explain how the rank is achievable by these people. Before we begin, be sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video, as I'd greatly appreciate it. So what is a special grade? To be very clear and explicit, special grades are, and it should be obvious, special. At the time of Volume 0, there had been 16 registered special grade curses, and the 4 sorcerers who were special grade at that time haven't grown in number even to this day. While the number of special grade curses has certainly grown by 8 or possibly even 9, that's still a drop in the bucket compared to the total number of curses. According to Ichichi, up to the level of a grade 1, sorcerers beat out curses in terms of firepower.
Right.
In other words, a grade 1 sorcerer is stronger than a grade 1 curse spirit. But at the level of special grade, things seem to even out, and according to him, even a cluster bomb might not work in getting rid of them. But special grade sorcerers and curses being on the same level isn't exactly true. There are 3 times in the series where grade 1 sorcerers exercise a special grade curse spirit. Meimei and Ueui exercise the smallpox deity, Megami takes out the second finger bearer, and Toto defeated a special grade during the night parade of 100 demons. Every single sorcerer I mentioned don't hold a candle to any of the special grade sorcerers, and Sukuna calls out this massive difference in power after exercising the first finger bearer. So generally, a special grade curse won't be on the same level of a special grade sorcerer. But this already makes the title a little bit complicated. While being a special grade isn't as straightforward as I would like it to be, Kenjaku does tell us a few metrics for special grade sorcerers. When Mekamaru is fighting Mahito, Kenjaku comments that his output is on par with his special grades temporarily. This means either his 2-year or 1-year charge is special grade level.
Right.
Either one is pretty absurd, so I won't bother taking this on 2 separate routes. The point being that special grade sorcerers likely have a minimum amount of cursed energy that they have to be able to output at one given time. This metric is virtually impossible to judge anyone by, since all I could really tell you is my opinion on who outputs more cursed energy than this.
Yeah, it's not like we have numbers flying around the pages or anything. Is it?
Luckily, Kenjaku gives us another metric for special grade, and it's a bit more clear. Someone who can overthrow a country single-handedly. This broadens the scope for who can be special grade, and it also broadens the difference between special grade sorcerers. Countries vary in size wildly.
Yeah, that's true as well. Yeah, it's not giving us an actual okay.
If you wanted to take this even further, you could say that even sorcerers on the lower end of power could classify as special grade for being able to overthrow a nation through their smarts alone and infiltration. I won't be taking it there though, since I think it's pretty clear from anyone who is or was going to be special grade that it means doing it with power. Like I mentioned a moment ago, overthrowing a nation makes for a pretty big gap in special grade. For example, the Vatican City is its own nation, but it's only 0.19 square miles, which isn't even 1/100th the size of the average city here in America. On top of this being the case, Gojo's strongest attack, an unlimited hollow purple, didn't even make an explosion the size of Shinjuku, so he'd hardly be able to just destroy a nation in one shot if he tried. That brings me to the next issue. What is the time frame for overthrowing a nation that has to be met?
Yeah, okay, yeah. Like, can it be plotted within like a 5 year period, or are we talking like, boom, nobody's taking me now. I'm here. This is mine. Bam. You know,
While someone like Gojo can
like
teleport
that.
all around and likely get it done very quickly, that's not the case for any other special grade. Someone like Geto can make up for it by summoning his own army of curses that are not only super strong, but would be invisible to 99% of the population of normal humans.
True.
Yuta has a cursed spirit with limitless amounts of cursed energy, and Yuki was given a special grade without even knowing what her technique was, at least according to Kenjaku. Principal Yaga is another contender for special grade. The higher-ups wanted him made special grade because he had the potential to create an army of self-sufficient cursed corpses, so essentially the same reason as Geto. The United States is a pretty big country. The entire land area is about
The USA is
3.8 million
huge.
square miles. Assuming the special grade can move at Mach 1, which is a generous low ball, and that they traveled the entire land area to overthrow the nation, it'd take around 4,955 hours, or around 206 days, and that's without stopping, of course. Of course, it's probably not the case that the special grade would have to travel the entire land area of the country in order to overthrow it, so we won't assume that they have to. Sorry if this is a bit anticlimactic, but I'm going to have to throw my own number here. Given the wild different sizes of a country, I'm going to assume overthrowing a nation about the size of Japan, which is around 146,000 square miles, would count for the rank of special grade.
Okay.
I think this would also be in line with how close-minded the higher-ups are in Jujutsu Society, and I think it's also a fair baseline considering Japan houses 99% of the world's sorcerers, and there are
Yeah, so you'd imagine that that's the example they would be thinking of if they think, you know, if you could take over a country, because that's where they reside mainly.
plenty of other nations smaller than Japan. Plugging Japan into the formula I used before, a sorcerer moving at Mach 1, which is again a generous lowball, would take around 190 hours to cover the complete land area of Japan. That's about 8 days of time without stopping, but just like I said before, they shouldn't have to cover the entire land area of the country, only important spots to actually overthrow it. So to not assume too much, let's just cut this time in half, accounting for the rest the sorcerer would need, which just leaves us at about 4 days to overtake a nation the size of Japan, and even shorter for the one smaller than Japan, which is more than fair if you ask me. Beyond this, it's also pretty clear that keeping pace with a special grade fighter or being on par with one should also qualify you for that ranking as well. There are also some other criteria I'd like to introduce, but since they're more case by case, I'd like to introduce them as I introduce the people that they apply to.
Right, okay,
Two
cool.
more things that I think are very much so worth mentioning are the fact that Kenjaku didn't consider Yuki's mass technique enough to consider her special grade, and by Jujutsu text criteria, she should have an extension technique with high cursed energy output in order to actually meet the criteria they have for special grade. Beyond that, it's pretty clear that all of these fighters have never taken over a nation, so special grade is more so based on your potential to do something
Yeah,
rather
like, if
than
you could.
actually doing it. That's not to say special grade power could be equal to grade 1 power, it's just to say that special grades are always going to be based on potential. With that being said, let's start with the potential special grades on this list, both Mekamaru and Principal Yaga. I've already talked about Yaga and his placement here, but Mekamaru should follow a similar line of logic to get special grade. We've already seen he can create multiple puppets, and we know he can control them over an extremely long range due to his heavenly restriction.
Yeah, man. Dude's
Even
a
while
beast.
conserving his own cursed energy, or in other words, constantly nerfing himself, and only using one robot, he was able to reach semi-grade 1 level. This is coupled with the fact that coincidentally, Mekamaru's stated range of control is the entire nation, which in this context is Japan.
There we go.
Given the storing of 17 years of cursed energy, if that is focused into building more Mekamaru bodies, along with Mekamaru himself having his heavenly restriction with essentially no drawbacks thanks to Mahito, him being special grade becomes not as far-fetched as you might think. and it only makes more sense when taking into account that he can already output on par with special grades in Kenjaku's own words. He's got anti-domain techniques with simple domain, which allowed him to avoid one
Yeah,
of the
simple
most
domain
deadly
was
sure
sick.
hit attacks in the entire franchise when up against Mahito, and that's all really impressive. But sadly, Mekamaru's only real way to get the special grade rank is having an army of Mekamaru robots similar to both Geto and a hypothetical Principal Yaga. Higuruma is someone else I'm going to throw in this potential special grade area.
Okay.
He's got talent on par with Gojo, which is stated by the narrator. He's able to learn both domain amplification and reverse curse technique on the fly.
Yeah,
While he did
just
see
sick.
domain amplification a few times and get it explained to him, he did actually learn reverse curse technique during his fight with Sukuna. He operates his technique with the same level of efficiency as Sukuna, stated by Sukuna himself. And again, this is his first time using domain amplification. He's got a domain expansion like the Heian era sorcerers, which was expanded on by Tengen. Tengen saying that domains with crazy lethal sure hits weren't common back in the Heian era, but now they are, so domain users have decreased. He can get an insta-kill sword with his curse technique
Which
and
is so
confiscate
oh mate. When you thought that they had it. Oh,
a curse technique or curse tools,
when
and
they
he
thought he had
ascended to
the
grade 1
scooter, it's like,
within just 2
you
weeks.
would.
I think Higuruma
You
just
do
having talent on par with Gojo is probably enough to give him special grade, but since we didn't get to see him grow too much past when he was fighting Sukuna, because of his death of course, I'm not going to say that he's outright special grade. Another cursed spirit that never got classified is Naoya, and I think Naoya is blatantly stronger than the finger bearer curses that showed up
Yes.
earlier in the series, so I'm also going to say that Naoya is special grade. Before I talk about the sorcerers that are now definitely special grade, I want to go over two that are most certainly not special grade, even though I've heard them be talked about a lot. That's Choso and Kusakabe. Choso
Okay.
is a special grade cursed object, and if he was a curse, he'd get the special grade label just like his brothers Eso and Kechizu, because he's stronger, but he's not a curse, he's a death painting. That being said, it makes it hard to even say if he should be placed on a list like this. Kenjaku does say though that Choso is around a grade 1 level. Now that statement is pre-time skip from when Kenjaku actually fought Choso, but we do know that during the time skip Choso was probably mainly training Yuji, which I'm sure took away from his own training time. He also had been allegedly training his supernova for around 150 years, and it's even stated that Choso is kind of inexperienced when it comes to fighting. He does have great assets like Flowing Red Scale and Flowing Red Scale Stack, but even with those, Kenjaku still just calls him grade 1 level. Kusakabe did manage to damage Sukuna, but we also know that Sukuna holds back on people. That coupled with the fact that it stated Meimei and Nanami both hit harder than him, Sukuna was probably just holding back. And I mean, come on now, as soon as Sukuna wanted to, he cut Kusakabe down off screen just like he did Gojo.
Yep, straight away.
Beyond this,
That was so
Kusakabe
weird
does
because
have
I remember being on holiday, being like trying to explain to my brother who just does not care about this whatsoever. I was like, oh my god, this guy's left behind. He was gonna run away, but there he's like the last one left. He said, God, best have a go then. And I'm like, I wonder how the hell this is gonna play out. And then as soon as you read it, it's like, oh my god, he just got laid down.
the title of strongest grade 1 sorcerer, and that's good in a vacuum, but Meimei does say that both her and Nanami are superior to him
Stronger,
in terms of firepower, and that they only picked Kusakabe as the strongest grade 1 because he's a really nice guy. Nanami's elaboration on this is also super telling, because he says that it's not like he can't imagine Kusakabe winning every fight, but it's hard to imagine him losing a fight. Kusakabe does have pretty good defense with his simple domain, and Sukuna even compliments his reaction time, so that's probably true. He can react with a really good defense and avoid a loss, but not actually take out his opponent. Now we're going to move into the area of people that I think are definitely special. We're going to start with Maki, but I want to make it clear that in the fan book, when Gege was asked if Toji would be special grade, Gege says that Jujutsu Society has no interest in ranking someone who has no cursed energy. I didn't feel like taking that as a cop-out though to just not include Maki on the list, so I'm going to include her anyway. Maki is literally immune to domain expansions, with
Which
the
is so
exception
sick.
of Sukuna, Gojo, and maybe Kenjaku, we don't really know. Barriers cannot recognize her, so the sure hit cannot land on her. Aside from that, she can choose not to enter the barrier and be trapped in the first place. She also has a sword that negates durability.
God damn. And she just wiped out the clan. Like, in God knows how much time, so quick. So she could, oh, mate. Toji and Maki are so freaking cool.
During the fight with Sukuna, this was called into question just a bit, but when she comes back after being hit by a Black Flash, she actually does cut off Sukuna's other arm, the same one he was using to block the strikes before. We also learned that Sukuna is able to launch his curse technique without moving his body at all, so it is pretty likely that he was probably just using slashes in order to parry her sword, and that's why it wasn't working before and then it worked after the Black Flash. Maki's also untrackable via cursed energy, which takes away a form of precognition that sorcerers have. Toto explains to Yuji at one point in time that whenever a sorcerer is throwing a punch, you can tell it's a right punch because they focus the cursed energy into their right fist. Elite sorcerers get around this by having better control over their cursed energy, but Maki takes it out of the equation completely because she doesn't have any cursed energy. Speaking of precognition, Maki has her own precognition through being able to feel the atmosphere, which also allows her to literally walk on air. She tanked not one, but two of Sukuna's Black Flashes and has the least amount of damage from them. She became equal to Toji, who at one point in time was the strongest person on the planet, and some people, while I don't personally agree, think she got even stronger from that point. She was able to react to Sukuna when he had
So
actually
freaking
started trying on
sick.
her, which hadn't been done by Yuta, Kashimo, Higuruma, or anyone else since Gojo, as well as getting his attention the most. She's compared to Yuta a few times, another special grade sorcerer. She's also compared to Maharaga in terms of being able to see Sukuna's slashes, which is something Maharaga had to adapt to Sukuna to be able to do. She's also got implied superiority to Yuki, since she's stronger than or equal to Toji, and Yuki considered Toji a true superhuman and said that Geto, who had received special grade at that point, shouldn't feel bad about losing to him. And to top it all off, her having no cursed energy is something special on par with the Six Eyes, or maybe even greater. Sukuna says Maki's existence denies sorcerers, implying he had never seen something like her before, and we know at least two other Six Eyes users have existed other than
Yeah.
Gojo, but the only other person like Maki to have existed is Toji, at least that we know of. Hikari is my next pick for special grade. He's immortal via a fully automatic reverse curse technique, which is faster than both Gojo and Sukuna's.
So
He's got
mad.
another domain expansion that's like the hand era sorcerers that I mentioned earlier. He's implied to be above Yuta by Yuta himself. Even if you disagree with it, Yuta still thinks it, and that means something.
Yeah, it definitely
He
does.
can change the coordinates of his domain on the fly, which he used to dump Kashimo into the ocean. He fought Kashimo, who was the strongest at one point in time, even when he wasn't using his curse technique. And he has a sharp curse energy that hurts you no matter how much or how little CE he puts into the punch. When Gojo told Yuta to go look after every sorcerer if something happened to him, he said that Hikari should be fine, implying that Hikari didn't need Yuta's help.
Yeah, didn't
And
need
when
looking
he's
after
fighting
it.
Sukuna, he apparently told everyone not to jump in unless he got weaker than the likes of Hikari and Yuta, which again implies they're on a somewhat similar level. Yuji is my next pick for a special grade. He
Interesting.
learned reverse curse technique in a month. He hits Black Flash like every day. The only known
Yeah.
sorcerer to land 10 Black Flashes, which puts him at a higher total than Gojo. He's also the
That's
only known sorcerer to awaken through Black Flash. While Black Flash does put you in the zone, no one aside from Mahito, who hit 2, has awakened from it. He's the only sorcerer to gain a technique he didn't inherit, and possibly 2. He has punches that can damage your soul regardless of if you
That's
reinforce
cool.
your body, which is something that even Sukuna can't defend against. I'd be lying though if I said I didn't think Yuji had a pretty weak case for being special grade. He still doesn't have any anti-domain techniques or anything like that, or a domain itself. His most impressive thing is being able to hit the soul with all his punches, but regardless, I still think he is a special grade, and the second awakening is gonna prove it without a doubt. Miguel is my next pick. He's pretty strong, being able to match a reinforced Gojo not using his curse technique in Gojo's own words, and he's the only guy to fight Sukuna and come out of it without being hit once, so I'll give it to him. But to be completely fair, he does word a specific statement, like he doesn't have anti-domain techniques, which is weird for a special grade not to have. But like I said, he did fight Sukuna and not get hit once,
So cool.
so I'll throw him in this.
It was so cool that he came back.
Kashimo is another sorcerer I think should be in special grade. He's the strongest of a certain era, so he's got that same sort of narrative that Sukuna, Gojo, and Yorozu have. I did an entire video on that. He also put hands on Megami Sukuna. Although Sukuna was weakened and only had one arm, he's got a super unique cursed energy trait with his lightning. He got close to unaliving the immortal Hikari multiple times and brought Hikari close to being unalived more times than Hikari ever had in one day. And he was also strong enough to not spoil Sukuna's mood after defeating Gojo. Yorozu is an obvious pick for this list. Her output is up there with the strongest of the Heian era. She has the most efficient use of the construction technique. She beat a squad that rivaled one led by Oro, who was facing off against Yuta. She created a perfect sphere capable of generating...
Yo, the perfect sphere thing was mad. It's just like, it's impossible. You can't do it. And she did.
Pressure and turned it into a sure hit attack inside of her domain, which should theoretically bypass any anti-domain techniques. Speaking of Uro, her and Ryu I have next on the list. They both fought with Yuta. Ryu is stated to have higher durability than Yuta even after the time skip.
Oh, she's the one that can
and
control
Uro has
the
one of the
sky,
best curse techniques debuted, with sky manipulation and the thin icebreaker application of it. I wish I had more to say for these two in specifically, since they did do pretty well in their fight against Yuta and they impressed me a lot. But unfortunately, there's just not that much information on. Uraume is the last person I want to bring up. They're able to fight with Hikari and do better than Kashimo. They freeze an entire city in their fight with Hikari. They can freeze limbs off and punch them. Took a blue punch from Gojo, although they do mention that it still hurts after using RCT. And they managed to freeze Maki off guard with maximum output. Also, given Sukuna's hatred for the weak, it does seem fitting that Uraume is extremely strong considering how Sukuna keeps them around. That's pretty much all I have to say though. If you feel like somebody shouldn't be on this list or somebody should that I didn't include,
then you're wrong.
You can definitely just leave a comment and let me know.
Cool. Very cool. I like that. I like that he takes like statements that people said that put people in special grade and then gone, right, okay, well these people do this. Awesome. Definitely agree with Maki being on there and Toji. He's like, favorites. But yeah, it's cool to see 6 is back. It's been a few weeks, maybe like 2-3 weeks. So yeah, thank you to my patrons. If you want to have your name at the end of every video, and to be able to watch patron only reactions such as the original Dragon Ball series, I'm really enjoying that at the moment. Link in the description to the Patreon page. $1 a month is all I ask to help support the channel. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you for that, and thank you all for watching. You guys think of that? You guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments below. Let me know what I should watch and discuss in future videos. And I'll see you guys next time.